And welcome to another exciting episode of The Energy That Surrounds Us. I'm your host, Michael, and tonight's guest is a guest that I have been having a lot of fun talking with, and I have to say, you guys are in for a treat. We are going to have a lot of fun tonight, and so I could spend, as we were jokingly talking about before starting, a couple of minutes reading her bio and, having that much fun, but I think it's better coming from the source. So she agreed to it. So I'm going to turn it over to the one, the only mystical Tanya RainbowHorse.
Aho, beautiful beings. My name is Tanya RainbowHorse. I'm an energy healer and spirit guide. I'm here to bring energy forth and to make it the simplest, most purest form of reflection. I thought I had a bunch of ideas about what I'm supposed to be doing here, but at the moment, I'm just going with the flow and I'm letting spirit take the reins. So wherever that comes up and branches out, I'm allowing it. But energy healing is really where I'm at, and it's a beautiful experience.
Yes, and you wanted to do the 4 directions.
Yes, I'd like to set sacred space just because it feels good. It eases us into the story and the magic of what unfolds, and it encases it in a beautiful intention-filled space. So I'm going to go ahead and light just a little bit of sage to get some of that energy there, and then I'm going to sing the 4 directions because that's how I was taught, and it kind of helps get the voice warmed up too for whatever needs to be said. So I've got my back to the west, and we start in the east. So I'll start this direction, and I'll move south that way where I'm at. And then I'm in the north, and the west is over here, and I'm in the north. Well, and then I'll do Father Sky, Mother Earth, and Great Spirit, and then we can move forward. Okay. Just gonna put a little bit of this here on me, send some Michael's way, and for everybody else watching this. Okay. Grandfather, I see you sitting in the east. You are sacred. You are looking at me. I pray to you. Pray to you. You are sacred and you are looking at me. Grandmother, I see you sitting in the south. You are sacred. You are looking at me. I pray to you. Pray to you. You are sacred and you are looking at me. Grandfather, I see you sitting in the west. You are sacred. You are looking at me. I pray to you. Pray to you. You are sacred and you are looking at me. Grandmother, I see you sitting in the north. You are sacred. You are looking at me. I pray to you. Pray to you. You are sacred and you are looking at me. Grandfather, I see you sitting in the sky. You are sacred. You are looking at me. I pray to you. Pray to you. You are sacred and you are looking at me. Grandmother, I see you sitting on the earth. You are sacred. You are looking at me. I pray to you. Pray to you. You are sacred and you are looking at me. Grandmother and father, I see you sitting in my heart. You are sacred. You are looking at me. I pray to you. Pray to you. You are sacred and you are looking at me. Oh, that's good. Ah.
Wow, I could feel that actually.
Yeah. That's good. It just helps get that yummy feeling going. You know, a lot of times when you're doing ceremony or getting in the spotlight to talk to somebody, you want to get in the good stuff. It helps channel any nervous energy, helps call in the good spirits to be around you, and it just feels good, like you said. So I definitely wanted to make sure I do that. And before we end, there's a little something I would say to close it down as well, just to put that out there.
That's fine, and I have to say that was the first time I've ever heard it sang, and I actually kind of was like that. That I think added a little bit of resonance to it.
Yeah, I had known about calling in the directions before I learned that song. And it can be empowering to say the direction and just say the elements and the energy that connect there, but using your voice to like give it a prayer really, like you said, adds a resonance to it that just makes it more heartfelt in a way.
It
So that's why.
does, and it's like almost like I would say like paying tribute to them, like, and not meaning like a tribute like a Roman tribute. I mean tribute like they would say, the best way I could describe it is when you wanted something from the universe, you write it down, you burn it, and then you send the smoke and the ash into the air, and it's like a gift to the universe saying, this is what I want, and they'll gift it to you. And that's what that was reminding me of. Hearing that song, it's like a gift to grandmother and grandfather.
Yeah, big time. It's giving away that gratitude before you move into what you want. It's like bring your energy into me and be with me while I do this.
And so is that kind of tied into your shamanism, where that came from, or was that a different training that you did?
Yeah, I've had the privilege to work with probably about three different main shamanic practitioners. All have been female. And most of them have all been lineage of. I don't know if you're familiar with Sun Bear. He was big in the '90s, and he was, I think he was Lakota, or maybe he was Sioux, but
I think he
he
was Lahota.
Lakota, okay. And he was heavily in his own community, but he kept getting messages from spirit that he needed to take it out to not just his people, but all the colors of the rainbow. And, he went and did that in the '90s. He trained up a lot of people to do pipe ceremony and heal themselves and drumming and, a lot of things along that line. And so, all these people just came into my life, when I was pretty early on in my spiritual awakening. And I have some Native American ancestry, and I always really wanted to connect to them spiritually, but we were kind of off of a branch that was more estranged from the connection. Like, I know of some of my people, but they're not really, like, we're not super connected spiritually or know each other. And I feel like that's maybe part of the lineage of wounding, but I really craved that. And when I started going into that spiritual awakening, it came to me in ways that I was like, whoa, spirit is really meant for me to have that ancestral lineage carried on, even if it's from other tribes and other spiritual leaders coming to me.
And I feel like, it's really cool that you have the actual lineage, but I feel like, and I don't know how to prove this or disprove it, but I feel like, a lot of people get called to certain tribal medicine or songs or locations or, art, for example, even. And I feel like that could be like past life connection and it won't show up in your DNA, but it is there. And so I wonder, how with your shamanism and energy work and everything, do you delve into past lives?
Well, from an early age, I was really just, color was a huge thing for me. Color in general, wearing bright colors, having bright hair, wearing bright makeup, wearing all bright colors. And so I have a really strong bond with rainbow in general. And so, the Rainbow Warrior tribe, I've heard some of that through the years. And like, as I've done my training with these people that trained with, this native man, I was like, okay, so the rainbow path is the medicine for me. I'm meant to, get these teachings from all over the place and bring it back to a collective space, and share it. And, I had some shame about bringing my shamanic work out into the world because I was disconnected to the spiritualness of my tribe, of my lineage, even though I have an ancestor that comes through very, very strongly to do work with me. I was still really scared that if I got out there with this work that I would be criticized, but I realized that that was just part of that wounding. And so the more that I was able to own it, that's when things really started opening up. Like, I went to pipe ceremony from one of these women that I taught with, and she was a white woman who was trained by a lot of different native people. And I walked into her metaphysical shop. That's actually what really opened me up to spirituality. I was really in the dark shadow. And I just, on a whim, I went into this shop and it opened a portal for me. And so she actually every Sunday in person would do pipe ceremony for about an hour. And we would drum. She would pass around a basket full of oracle cards for all of us to take for message of the week. She would share part of the medicine wheel we were on. And then we would do pipe. And I went and did that ceremony one time, and I was like, I have got to have this ceremony as part of my own one of these days. And I've just now gotten to the point where I'm standing in my power with it. So I'm not sure if that was your original question. I kind of went off, but that's
No, you're fine. And I was thinking about Sun Bear, and I think I misspoke, and he wasn't Lakota. I think he was Chippewa.
Oh, that could be it as well. I know he came from somewhere in the Midwest or somewhere, not from this region, but he was called to like the Spokane area really heavily, and that's where he did a lot of his gatherings for people to come learn and heal from his way.
Right. I just wanted to correct that because if someone's watching, I didn't want them to go, Sun Bear, Lakota, what?
Yeah, that's true. I'm still anchoring in my correctiveness with some of that because some of my teachings are a little bit from some of all of what we've mentioned. But, I'm still practicing getting all of that in a row as I, get out in the world with the magic. So that is important to address, though. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and do you think it's because it's in your DNA, so to speak, that you were drawn to the tribal medicine, or do you think spirit brought you to it and it was just a bonus that it was your family lineage?
I feel like it's both because I've done a couple past life regressions with one of my teachers, and a life showed up as me as a warrior, a Native American warrior, and this horse I had this really strong connection with. So I already had that. It's the feathers and the furs and connecting with nature in a way that is very primal and connected to Mother Earth that really pulls me in because, before we had computers and all this, modern stuff, we were connected with the earth. We made things from the earth. We used the herbs. We, hunted for our own food. And that primal aspect connected to the part of me inside that really yearned for some of that. So I feel like there's a past life aspect. There's that nature-y, going back to the hunter-gatherer energy of being very simple and connected to the earth and the stars. And also this ancestor that shows up for me. So my great grandfather was a shaman, medicine man of his tribe. And I know a little bit of his story. I don't know so much detail, but he was really good at what he did. And he was killed, poisoned, because he would not go against his higher values and what some other people wanted him to do. And so they poisoned him. And I feel like a lot of some of my spiritual journey has been to heal parts of his lineage, because it came up for me so much. And he's actually part of the energy that wants me to get out and share this medicine. So he comes up a lot. I can just sit at certain times and he will just connect and tell me what to do. And he's like, and things happen and I don't even know what's going on. He channels through me pretty strongly.
That's amazing. And I just want to put out there for people who may not be familiar with the indigenous tribes, other than what they see on TV or in movies. And so they portray it as there's the chief, the warriors, and then the family, and then the medicine man occasionally shows up. And I just want to clarify that in actuality, the shaman or medicine man was equal to the chief. If the medicine man said, we can't go to war, the chief was like, nope, we're not going to war. And there was strong medicine behind him that the tribe depended on him. The tribe moved and flowed, had the ebb and flow based on the shaman. So it's not something where like we go to a school, get a degree and say, I'm now a doctor. They had to prove their worth, and they had the weight of the tribe on their shoulder.
Yes, that's very big. And their collective energy is that they have one foot in the spirit realm and one foot on earth. And so it just makes it easy and natural for them to, feel that energy coming forward. And they're like, hey, this is what's going on. We need to plan, do this, blah, 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 blah. They tend to the collective energy and, help people navigate that flow. Where was I was going to say something else on that. I was just going to correlate that and connect that to myself a little bit, because when I was a kid, I'm very empathic, and there was a lot of fear and anxiety around me as a kid. I had a pretty good childhood, but, we had that collective fear around us, and I didn't really understand it. And so I took it upon myself, however I did, to take on the energies of people around me, and I processed their emotions. And so I use that fear and anxiety as a portal into my imagination. So I spent a lot of my time, when I was in fear and anxiety, exploring that spiritual realm that came so naturally to me. And I didn't really understand that till I started unfolding with shamanism, because it was so easy to me. And I didn't really understand that was something that isn't necessarily always the easiest for everybody. And so being able to connect into shamanic journeying and being able to go in there and get to know other guides in the spirit realm, and understanding that I could take energy from this life and go on a journey there and bring back information or transmute it, was really the height of what was unfolding for me.
That's amazing. And I know we've kind of hinted around and talked around it, but I'm wondering if it's okay for you to share what was the moment in your life I like to call them aha moments, where we have the bright awakening and the path lights up.
Mm.
And so the moment where you were like, okay, shamanism is the path I need to take and study it this way.
Well, I was about 28, almost 29 in 2012, and my best friend from childhood died in a car accident. And when I was at that age, like a lot of us are, we're not thinking about death or thinking that, thinking about that. We're having fun. We're just learning who we are. We're moving towards our 30s, and that was my crumbling. I fell in deep depression because my life was not how I wanted it. And that situation threw it all out. It brought me to my knees. And I got, into some smoking and drinking, and I was fighting with a lot of people and just fighting life and very angry because, my friend left and we were really close. We had a strong connection. And I had to find a way to continue living my life. But up till then, if I had died that day, I would not have been satisfied or happy with the way I was living. So I had to really take a look at the shadow very deeply. And it's through that crumbling that, I went to college. I was trying to work my way up the corporate ladder, and it just all fell away. And I remember this one pivotal moment when I was really in a dark place, ready to fill out paperwork for unemployment. Didn't know if I could pay my rent, fighting with my boyfriend then. And I just I'm not religious, but I was like, whatever is up there, please give me a sign to move forward, because I'm literally at the deepest depth darkness that I've ever been in. I need guidance. And then I let it go and move on. And then shortly after, I just got this idea to go into this metaphysical shop I had been at once. And I was a little nervous, but, I went anyway. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, just seeing astrology stuff, shamanic flyers there. They had crystals, herbs. They had fans like this hanging up. Just all these magical things. And I was like, I felt a little bit of relief there. So what I did next was I just went to all the kinds of shops around my area and all the classes that they had on shamanism or shamanic journeying or any kind of meditation. I did some reiki, and I just started playing around with different things. And it's really when I started getting the shamanic journeying that I was like, okay, I understand why I had to go through all that heavy stuff, because it needed to bring me to all these beautiful modalities that I started exploring. And that was really where I was like, this is my home. This is where I'm going to build my life. I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know what it's going to really look like, but I knew that I'd found where I belonged with that work. It was really what I was calling, so.
Yeah, that's amazing. And my condolences for the loss of your friend. I know that's hard. And it actually makes me wonder, with, your shamanic background and actually your background as a whole, you mentioned the shadow work, and I'm curious how you view and define the shadow.
Well, I do know we can't have the light without the dark. And really where I'm starting to look at the dark, and I mean, we know this, but we don't really know it till we get to a point where we get to know it. And I see it as this necessary part of us that we need to dive into to open up and transmute the energy so we can get to where we want to go. It's the catalyst that cracks us open to parts that are sore or raw, that haven't been dealt with from other people or any lineages or repressed emotions. It's that rawness that gets shoved down that wants to come up to the light so it can bring you more goodness. I feel like they ebb and flow together. They're married. They're one and the same. They're different sides of the coin, but it can be really hard to see it like that until, you know, you've done it a while, or whatever, you know, whenever you're ready for that perspective shift. At least for myself, I feel like I've known that the darkness, the shadow, was a beautiful part of it for me for a long time, but I feel like I've been in a lot of it the last 10 years, that it's now that I'm starting to surface and catch my breath, where I'm looking at it as an equal to the light.
No, that's beautiful because I started thinking about it when I was working on one of my books, and I was like, you know, what is the shadow? And when I was like, I sat down and looked at it, I was like you're saying, yeah, it's a catalyst. But another way to look at it that I found that kind of like clicked in my head as to the benefit of it is we look at the dark and we don't, you know, the darkness hides a lot of things, but we see the shadows move. So there has to be light in the darkness, in that shadow. So I started thinking, well, maybe the shadow is like the perfect balance of light and dark because you can see it in the darkness, but you could only see it if you saw the light.
Yeah.
Even though it's a dark being, it has light. And so I was like, it kind of was like, to me, it was like that validation of, yeah, we all have light and dark in us, but it's we choose to show the light more, or we give off the appearance that we like to show the light more, so we're more visible. But yeah, so I like how we've never talked about shadow, but our view is similar.
Very, very similar. You know, well, I think about in 2019 when I was still unraveling a lot of my spiritual stuff. I used video as a form to address my shadow. Like, I needed to give it a voice. And so when I would go through like the dark part that was bringing the light up, the part where you feel like you might be going crazy or you hear all these things, it's just like that tension between the old and the new. And so I would start talking about the energy shifts that I would have with the shadow, and I would start giving it a voice. And that's really where a lot of beautiful things have come from me. Video is one of my favorite mediums to be connected to. And I would not have necessarily understood or got that or practiced it if it wasn't for my shadow coming up and needing a place to go to be. And so I would bring up these ideas. I would be vulnerable. I'd cry, laugh, whatever emotions came up, and I would just express the energetic experience I was going through, and that was giving light and peace to that shadow aspect. And so to this day, if I'm really deep in it and I'm having a hard time getting myself through it, sometimes I just make a video and delete it if I didn't want to share it, and it just is a very beautiful way to find a way to use it as a positive thing.
Right, and being metaphysical, I didn't even think about this when I was working on my book, but there is a principle in metaphysics of if you have something you want to give voice to, you write it down like a letter, and instead of mailing the letter because you don't want to get in trouble, you burn the letter and it releases all, and it keeps you from bottling up emotions. And so it sounds like it's almost verbatim of what you're describing. And that brings up an interesting question that I'm curious your viewpoint on is, as we're talking about going through what some people call the ascension process or awakening ourselves to our true selves, do you think those that are more in touch with their shadow will ride the ebb and flow easier and grasp all the changes easier, or do you think no matter what, everybody's in for one, uh, pardon my French, hell of a ride?
I think the best antidote to help with the shadow and accepting it and loving it is to be able to train yourself to see it as an asset, to see it as not your complete truth, as a necessary experience to go through to get to your higher ground. Like the last year, I've really had to walk myself through some really heavy, like, when you just hear all the voices in your head when you're moving some of that shadow out. Can be very debilitating, and like you get into bad moods, you can be frustrated. But the more you can learn how to walk yourself through it and know that there's something beautiful on the other side, the easier you're going to make it. Like giving it gratitude, or just sitting still when you're in that place and watching it like you're at a movie theater. Like these little subtle things can make the difference between having a very painful experience in your shadow versus being at peace with it. Like letting it exist, seeing it, witnessing it, observing it, and giving it gratitude is a life-changing experience with it. So I think that is really where the gold is with it.
And that actually just put together a thought in my head of, so we talk about having ego, which I refer to it as our earth guide only, as that's what it helps us to function. And after hearing you describe the shadow, it's like my mind wanted to go, so the shadow is a manifestation of our ego?
That's a really good idea you're developing on. I would see that as true. It's that voice that's like, I don't want to, when you want to do something that really lights you up, or something like that. And the ego is a beautiful thing, but you're right. It's the earthly mechanism. When we go to spirit, that's not there. But there, I feel like there's different facets of it, but I definitely can see the correlation with the ego and the shadow big time, like what you're saying.
Yeah, because and recently I started noticing the trend of the shadow. If you ignore it, you end up in a dark night of the soul. And when I started thinking about, when I was defining what that means in my book, now it's like I think about it and I'm like, that actually sounds more like an egoic statement of the dark night of the soul is force you to make a change and make a choice in your life. And I was like, well, what does the ego do? Well, the ego forces you to sustain yourself here by choice, or by making something happen to where the choice is taken away, it appears. And you're like, okay, choice made. Not the one I wanted, but circumstances are now this way, so now I got to deal with this. And so, is that another way to look at it too, and correlate it all together into one aspect?
Yeah, one of my teachers, when I was battling some ego stuff early on in shamanic work, she said to give the ego, if it's pestering you, trying to keep you from doing what you want, or it's like got that little sabotagey voice back there, it's like, give it something to do. Like, give it some desk work, get it some typing to do, or send it on vacation to sip some drinks, or actively play with it and say, hey, this would be great if you went over there and hugged your teddy bear and had a nap and watched a movie. Because then you're, again, with the shadow part as well, you're giving it a little bit of mothering. You're giving it a place to go instead of just gabbing here in your head. We've got so many different different personality energies that we deal with, you know, on a daily basis. And so if we can make it more playful, it always adds a little bit of a different element to it.
And, that's interesting. And one thing I know from, and I was sharing a little bit of this with you before we went live, is I went through training with an organization called the Mankind Project, where the objective is to take you from the mentality of a boy and put it into a mentality of a man and be able to express yourself and express your feelings in the appropriate way so they don't come out sideways or get bottled up. And one of the things that we would do is like strip ourselves of our name, give ourselves a number, and then at the end of the training, reclaim our name. And through ceremony and through all these ceremonies, do little shadow work here and there and really get to the nitty gritty of whatever we wanted to work on for this adventure. I'm wondering, is that similar to what your sisterhood work is, or is it on like a totally different, more gentle, like, oh, look at the flowers. Oh, we're in this peaceful meadow and we're going, think about, meditate in this meadow and, find your inner zen.
I love it. That's so beautiful. There's definitely some of that. But really, that sisterhood mentorship came about. One of my shamanic teachers, she was the woman who was doing drum circles. So I learned a lot of drum circle healing and channeling through her. And so I would go these drum circles, you do a little drumming and you speak maybe what's on your mind, something you got to get off your chest. And then we just keep drumming. It's more of an energy channel thing. And so through her, she had this collection of people and she saw a need for some feminine healing. And so she put this little 1-year mentorship together. And so really what we did there is we got connected with the medicine wheel. She had a medicine wheel in her backyard, so we would walk it. And she had stones and plants placed there, so we could walk on the earth with that. So that would probably be the flowery part. But we would get into these circles with her where we would open up and get really raw. Because a lot of us, sisters especially, but everybody in the world don't have a place to be authentic and raw to whatever is just dripping to come out of you. And we're in a safe circle where we could all open up and talk about the raw stuff and be authentic. We could cry, we could get angry, and nobody judged us in that circle. And I really think that was the power, the glue that held that mentoring together, was because we need a space to do that. We passed around a talking stick, so whoever had that talking stick was the only person who was talking then, so you knew where to put your focus on, so people felt heard, and we all knew what was expected of us. So that was the main aspect of it, but then we drummed. She had workshops where you could make your own drum and connect with it spiritually, and that's one in itself. The craft part is connecting back to Mother Nature. It's in the Celtic traditions and the native traditions and a whole lot of other shamanic practitioners where we use turkey feathers or rabbit fur when we find it, and we make things out of it. And so she taught us how to make prayer ties, which is giving prayer. It's a silent ceremony where you put tobacco or cornmeal in these little things and you tie it up, and that would be a way you could transmute energy too, because oftentimes we would have an intention while we did it and we'd burn it. What else did we do here? We would make we would craft with leather. Like I made these little teeny canvases with leather beads collaged from like magazine clippings or whatever. I collaged like 20 of those, and I made one for each one of my sisters through working through some energy work. So it was a combination of bringing that old school, like tribal mentality together in a feminine container for healing and connecting with our feminine essence. So in regards to what you went through, it definitely sounded really familiar. It was a stripping away of the layers. When we've got all this repression in here, we're more triggered and and stuck in our energy, and we don't move forward with our gifts and our work as open and freely as we could, versus when we do the work and we are heard and we listen to other people and we have that place to commune and connect in our heart and have that tribe where we feel safe to unravel. I'm sure there was probably a sense of safety in that circle that you were with, the men that you did the work with, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have opened your heart space up enough to really dive deep.
There was definitely safety, and there was, like you said, that comfort of the non-judgment. And the nice thing about it is, if we saw somebody in judgment or saying something in judgment, it's like we were like, hey, no judgments here. And
Yeah.
it's like you just nipped it and everybody was equal. And that's the part that I think was, in essence, the most powerful part of it. Was you had men that were in their teenage years, because you had to be at least 16 to take part. So you could have a 16-year-old, a 22-year-old, a 33-year-old, a 76-year-old, and they're all in the same field. They're all a number, and they're doing the activity at the same level. There was no, oh, well, the 76-year-old has more experience, so, we're going to naturally put him in the role of leader. It's like, no. You could end up with the 17-year-old as your leader, and you're like, I'm 33. I know more than this kid. Why do I have to listen to him? And that, like, really brings out, I think, and triggers a lot of people who deal with in their work life and personal life, going, why is this person who's younger than me getting more than I'm getting? This isn't fair. And it forces you to look at it.
Yeah, and that's exactly the same as my circle. I think I was the youngest. I was like in my early to mid 30s, and there was a 75-year-old. Our teacher was in her 70s, but then there was a 45-year-old, and then there was 60s, 50s, all different age. But when you come and you talk, we're all just one. There's none of that. It just, everything else melts away, and you just get to be vulnerable and speak your truth and be seen or heard.
And the beautiful thing, too, that we did, then we took it out of ceremony, out of the weekend, and we held, every periodically, we would host a sweat lodge to where you could bring someone, or, normally it was just male. Occasionally we would do co-ed, but there was no, because we were on public land, we were like, yeah, you had to at least wear your bathing suit. There was no walking around bare going, hey, because in the, where we had our weekend, it's out in the country and there is no neighbors around for miles. So it's like, it's a little different, going there and, stripping off your clothes and sweating with men that you just went through this weekend with. And it was like an empowering, rather than going, oh my God, that dude looks like he's got a 6-pack on him. And I look like I got a 24 keg in me. There's no way I'm doing that. No, everybody just went in. We paid homage to the corners and or the directions, I mean, and we sang songs and we walked out, and I mean, that was so beautiful. And I'm wondering, on your sisterhood weekends, did you guys partake in sweat ceremonies or something similar?
We had one experience where we did go to a sweat together. I was told by spirit not to sweat. I really wanted to, so I had to stay out and tend the fire, which was really good. People needed space to be held. But I did go in there for a little bit of the ceremony, and it's just being crammed into a dark place connected to the earth, sweating and pouring and just being like naked to your peers. There's just some magic that happens right there. And so that aspect of it, I really do understand it. And when I was out tending the fire, you just hear a lot of crying and sacred noises as the in the dark next to the earth while whatever is purging is happening. It's really a beautiful experience, and I would like to get to a place where maybe I have something like that going on with other people, or even to connect with something locally again, because I know sweat lodges are very powerful and there's a lot of beautiful healing there. But yeah, I share some of that similar experience with you as well with the sweat lodge.
That's really cool. And one thing you mentioned in your bio that it kind of piqued my interest, and I wasn't sure if I was envisioning it the right way or how it would work. And so I'm glad, that we get this opportunity to where I can ask you. And that is where you say you are activating. Let me make sure I get the verbiage right. Activating energy healer energies. So, are you talking about like activating like Reiki in people, or are you talking about something else?
That is a real dang good question. I think really where I was coming with that is, okay, so through my work with people, as I'm working on seeing how I can get my energy healing out in the world to help people, I've found that I tend to help people get unstuck in cycles of in relationships or with themselves that they're stuck in repeating over and over again. And I think really where I was going with that was activating. I help people activate that energy to get unstuck and keep moving, or
Oh,
to pursue what they want. Because you could have this thing you want so much and you're just circling around in the fear and you're not taking action. But then I've connected with a lot of people and I'm like, well, what's going on? And we unpack it, and I see them go off to move towards what they want, and they bust out of that. So I think that's where I was going with that.
okay. Well, that's really cool that you do that. And that is something that is definitely needed. And one other question that I really had around the bio is that the last sentence is being a spirit guide as Rainbow Horse. So it kind of got me thinking like, so is Rainbow Horse her spirit guide? And she's using it, the namesake, as like paying homage to her guide? Or are you the spiritual guide and helping people here?
That's a really good question too. I love these. These are beautiful. Well, I say I'm a spirit guide because I'm just walking alongside somebody, helping press the buttons that I've seen that have helped activate me. But Rainbow Horse is my soul's name. Like really, when I started getting into the work and claiming it, I had a shamanic journey and Rainbow Horse came up. And so it's like, here you go, here's your, it's like a Native American, or in any lineage has a name. If it's like this presence. It is a spirit guide of mine, but it's also this presence that's ready to play with the rainbows of the world in this horse energy. You know, horses are in community and they run with the wind and they want to be free, and, you know, they're empathic. So the horse really symbolizes kind of my dominant energy as in this body and this spirit. But then the rainbow is like going out and sharing and healing with the rainbow. So it's a little bit of a lot of things. It's just really, when I added it onto my, the end of my first name, it was like Tanya's that earthly energy, you know, when I was born into, but Rainbow Horse is what I came here to do.
Very cool. And I know next year will be a energetic year for you because it'll be the year of the horse. We were talking about that at a recording I did for New Year's Eve. We recorded already, and we all were curious, and we're like, "Oh my God, we're going into the year of the horse."
Yeah, you know, I recently saw that recently popped up for me in the last week or two. I don't even know where. It's just like the year 2026, the year of the fire horse or whatever. I was like,
Yeah.
And where I'm at right now, I can already feel so much stuff brewing that spirit is going to start taking me towards. And then when I just saw that, I was like, it was a synchronicity. Like this is the year where things are really going to heat up. So I love that you mentioned that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so, how does, in your mindset and your background, do you see yourself accessing and utilizing self-growth and the laws of attraction?
Well, self-growth really is, you know, acknowledging how you can get to that next level of yourself when you've got a barrier that's coming up. So I've really worked on infusing that as a daily part of myself to question, like especially when I get triggered by something, that human side pops up, the scared, fearful stuff. And I'm like, I'll sit with that. And I was like, well, what's underlining here? Is this really what's going on? Or is this helping me see where my next level is? It's that vision, being able to peel back and kind of look at it from the observer a little bit. So that's how I see self-growth. But the laws of attraction really right now mean to me that it's about getting in energetic alignment to lead a consciously lived life, that spirit's flowing through you. You get these insights and you take that action and you trust. It's all about being in that energetic alignment to move where spirit takes you and trust it without hesitation, without letting the fear take you, without letting that human side come in and hold you and not allow you to move. That's really where the power of that sticks out for me.
Okay, and it seems like you have a fan in the chat room.
Oh, really?
Fun size Spambergesa.
Oh, yes, that's my best friend, Spam. Hi, Spam. Thank you so much for showing up. Oh,
They said you did an awesome Reiki job when I was having those kidney stones in 2023.
Yeah, I did a hand over hand thing with her, I believe, and I feel the energy like a lot of us do. I feel the hot and cold, and sometimes I hear messages from the organs or the energy in those areas, and I just help shift it out. You know, I let the energy guide me, and I just sit there till it moves on out. So that's what I did with her. But I'm finding as I do my work more and more and cleanse my own energy, I don't even need to put my hands near anybody. I can just have a conversation and we can start shifting things.
Right, the remote aspect of it.
Yeah, the more that you clean out your own junk, the more you are just the channel and you can hold space for like just a conversation or even a text message. Like I've had people's emotions jump on me from just one word text. You know, so energy is so alive and so raw and so like, you know, in our faces on a daily basis. A lot of us don't even know how clouded we could be around it, you know? And it's taken me to whittle down and cleanse a lot of my own energy and understand it to see where it shows up. I'm like, oh, whoa, okay, that one's not mine. Or, hey, this is, you know, an energetic drama that I can just witness and not get into, or, you know, what have you.
Yeah, good luck with that one. But
yeah, it's wild.
I'm being aware that we are close to the hour. Do you have time
Okay.
for a few more questions, or do you need to go?
No, I've got time for a few more questions.
Okay. One question I have for you, and I'm going to preface this by I'm a Reiki master, and so I'm curious with your Reiki. There are times when I would be working on someone and I would see like these strands, or they call them meridians. I just call them like strands because they look like harp strings.
Ooh.
And every once in a while, it's like I'd be like looking at it and I'd be like, well, these are gold. That one's a little like more blackish. And these are okay. And so I would pluck the strand, and then it was like all the black soot, I guess, would dissipate and disappear, and they would feel better. And so I'm wondering, if on any of your Reiki cases, did you ever see anything similar or see that, yourself?
That really sounds specifically to you. I've heard other people say that they see strands, but that kind of seems like the way you see. But when I was doing it, there was a couple people that would talk about strands. I haven't really seen strands, but I usually am like, I feel things, I see images, I see color, I hear things. It's just like a bunch of information coming at me, and I'm taking it in, and I'm like, okay, do I need to tell them this? Do I need to just focus my energy here? Um, or maybe something hasn't been felt. You know, it's like kind of like an ebb and flow with all that kind of information flowing. And sometimes it's just going out, and then afterwards they'll process it. But for me, it's like more like all this different kind of information and insight coming through.
And when you talk about information coming through, are you referring to, because the first time I took it, it was just symbols and done, and I was like, okay, didn't feel the need to go on. But the second time, when I retook it and went and got my master, we would do what I would consider being borderline medium and channeling
Mm.
while working on the body, because my teacher trained us to go, okay, and I'm hoping I have the directions right. It's been a little bit since I've looked at it, so teach, if I get it wrong, please forgive me. But we would view, if you had something on the left side, that would be masculine. And so you would ask it, is this father, grandfather? What message do you have? And allow the energy to release. And the right side, obviously, is the mother side or feminine side. And so you would ask of that side. Did you get any training like that?
Well, naturally with other work, I am connected with the sides with feminine and masculine. So I do use that when I was connecting with Reiki or energy big time, the masculine and feminine, like, you know, and how that channels. But I didn't necessarily ask questions so much as I was just relaying things and moving things. But I have witnessed the way that you talk. I have a couple friends that are geared towards that, and that's a really cool way to, dig a little deeper if the person, is ready to get in that space and stuff. And so that's really cool. Mine is just a little bit more, I don't know, I guess I just literally flow with what's coming out, and like whatever wants me to say it, I say it, and whatever just wants to move through, I don't, and it just shifts.
Yeah. And I know I'm sorry, Fun Size, I don't want to butcher your last name, so I'll just gonna call you fun size. You mentioned, she mentioned the awesome job you did with the kidney stones. Is there another Reiki session or a session that when you were working on the person, when you finished, they had such a result that your mind was like, okay, this is the aha. I am meant to do this. I have it. I've learned it. And now, I'm set to go forward.
I feel like when I was more deep into doing Reiki and whatnot, I was a little bit less about protecting myself and understanding how working on people could pick up things. So I feel like I was more of like a sponge in that regard. And now I haven't been so hands-on, but I do use my pipe ceremony when somebody is distressed or having a big problem and I can feel their energy. I've connected with them, I've talked to them, or they say pray for me. I would do a pipe ceremony and I will send and transmute that energy of the pain they're feeling into love and light and kind of have my own emotional experience through it and transmute it.
That's very cool, and I've never thought about doing it that way.
It just kind of came to me. My teacher told me to put my pipe under my pillow when I was first being a pipe carrier and to dream with it and sleep with it. And when I started doing it, I was just really timid, didn't really know what to do with it. And I asked Spirit to guide me. And so through putting it together and practicing it, I've started seeing how it is actually an energy work I'm doing with it. Because when I have the pipe, or the bull piece, which is the feminine, and the masculine, that is the stem, I can see where my energy gets stuck after the ceremony because the tobacco will get stuck or it won't get stuck in certain spots when I'm cleaning it. So that whole thing has become like probably my form of Reiki currently, because I literally will clean it, and as I have done the ceremony, Spirit will tell me where my energy needs to be cleaned or where this person's stuck or whatnot. And then the tobacco kind of shows me too if it gets stuck in my pipe where the person or myself is holding on to something.
So the pipe that you use, were you gifted it, or did you purchase it, or did you make it? I'm just curious.
My teacher gave me the stem part, and I made and carved the bull piece myself out of pipe stone.
Wow. That probably was, what, a week or two's worth of carving?
I think it was really powerful magic. I probably worked on it for on and off 6 months at least.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was part of the practice, I think, because I had to work through a lot of fear of like having that, holding pipe can be a big responsibility. In the community back, when the natives did that for peace and to, have pipe ceremony in the circle that they did, that was a big responsibility because people would come to you and you transmuted that and held space for the prayers. And so I guess that intimidated me a little bit till I got to slowly whittle through it by crafting my own bowl piece.
Well, and also, I mean, not to add to your intimidation, but in ceremonies, like you were saying, peace ceremonies, if you went to smoke the pipe and nothing happened, they would view that as an omen and that peace may be over. And it was, could have been a flawed peace pipe, but they didn't view it that way. They were like, nope, you couldn't generate the smoke, so we're going to war now. Or, nope, we can't be neighbors. You stay over there, we'll stay over here.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
There's a lot of power in holding that. And like at times I felt like I was a fraud, or like, who am I to be doing this? Why am I, why was I chosen to do it? But it's just like Spirit gave me that urge, that need, that want. And who am I to question that? I'm here in this human experience and I'm going to I'm going to shine the light on what spirit wants me to use and go through. And so, that was really where I started finding some peace, where it was like, well, here you go. This is for you. Take it. And yeah, you might have to work through some fear, but this is part of your medicine. Spirit showed me several times. So,
yeah. And I don't know if you can share or not, because I don't want to, risk exposing something to the peace pipe that isn't supposed to. But I've seen some where they have like an animal on one end, head on one end, or etched into it like a design of an animal. Did yours go that elaborate, or did you like?
Yes. I have another pipe ceremonialist person that was in my circle who decided to learn pipe from my same teacher, and he's a male, and he made his pipe, and he actually shares pipe ceremony on Facebook in video. And that's an aspect of it, is, are you one who's going to show it out and maybe get out of the social norms of what the community who holds pipe would think is something you do? And he did that, and he did tell me some people got on him a little bit, but he was guided to do that. But anyways, that's getting off track a little bit. Yes, mine has an animal. Mine has a crow on it. Oh,
here I was thinking it was going to be a horse.
I thought about that, but crow is another heavy energy for me, and crow's like, no, this I want to be on. So
well, like, okay. It actually is more fitting, because crow, if I'm not mistaken, in many tribes, if not all tribes, is the messenger.
Yes, I think that's probably where it came from, because that little crow was talking to me a lot during that. He's like, hey, you better get me on that pipe, lady. And I'm like, okay. It was really fun. I enjoy the process of making that, and it really made it more sacred and connected for me to be able to make that. Because when I first asked my teacher, I was like, well, where am I going to get the bowl piece? She's like, well, you either have somebody make it for you, you buy it, or you make it yourself. And then I talked to the other person who was a pipe ceremony dude, and he made his. And so I was like, well, I feel like I need to make mine. So I found a beautiful piece of pipe stone on Etsy from somebody who is a native who sourced it from Minnesota, I believe, is where the pipe stone is. And so I took that beautiful gift and I put that under my pillow for a while and really let the energy get into it before the crow said, hey, I need you to sculpt me into this pipe. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it.
And so I'm curious, because there's a lot of traditions of saging along different paths before doing certain things. So I'm wondering if you have a ritual of, before you do pipe ceremony, do you sage the pipe and sage yourself, or do you only sage after, or do you never sage a pipe?
Okay, I'll go through what my teacher showed me and how I do a pipe ceremony. So I'll lay out like an altar piece with my pipe, my bowl piece. I have a shell where I will burn sage. I have the tobacco. I have a little poker to clean it out or move the tobacco around. And I have 4 stones for all directions. I work with eagle in the east, and coyote in the south, and bear in the west, and buffalo in the north. And so I have those stones out, and I sage myself first, and then I do the directions like I did here. And then once I've done that, when I'm by myself, I will give prayer, talk about what I'm transmuting or where I want to send love. Or if I'm in pipe ceremony in person with people, where sometimes I do bleed pipe, I will do a channeled meditation with them, or I will tell them where we are at on the medicine wheel. And then after that, I will sage everything on my altar, including the pipe, the tobacco, the containers, all of it. And then I will put the pipe together. And then I have things that I say to lead me into the ceremony. I call upon some energies. I call upon my guides to be with me while I do it. And then I light it and I ground the pipe onto the ground too. And then I blow smoke in all the directions that I called in. So I honor eagle and bear and coyote and buffalo again. And then I honor Father Sky and Mother Earth and Creator. And then after that, I light the pipe again. And then if I'm in person with people, I will blow smoke blessing to their heart. If I'm in person, I will just keep smoking it till it's all burnt out. And then as I'm doing that, I hold the highest regard of love and light while I'm doing it. I keep my thoughts as pure as I can, and I just pay attention to what may come up. And then I give thanks for smoking pipe. I sing a couple songs, and then I close down the circle. And then I pack everything up. So it's kind of a rundown.
That's really cool. And I've been saving this question for the end because it's a question I'm curious about, but I don't know if you delve into, so I didn't want to make it awkward in the beginning by asking this. And that is, with your lineage of indigenous background and doing this work, do you ever look to guidance from the heavens above, like the star beings that helped in the ancient times?
I'm strongly connected to star people, star energy, hence the background. I worked with a beautiful woman who was very spiritual, and she taught me a lot of things about protecting myself. And she channeled some energy and said that I had some Palladian energy. And I've always been connected, or I've always been like very fun and playful about, like, I like alien energy, like the little green men energy. And I'll talk about aliens with my friend here that was on there, Fun Size. We grew up just having fun with alien talk. And so when she gave me that information about Palladians, it really just kind of clicked in a piece of my heart. And so I have a really strong connection with the stars, whatnot. I'm a Cancer, and so the moon and the stars are very heavily like in me all the time, because I'm always, I'm naturally drawn to that energy. So that is very important. Yes.
Okay, cool. Because, yeah, some choose to remember that and others don't. So it's kind of cool that you're choosing to remember it and pay homage to it.
Yeah, that holds a really strong place in my heart. Fun Size, who was on there a little bit ago, her and I loved watching X-Files. She's the one who introduced me in the 90s to that, and I just love that show. I'll binge watch it sometimes when I'm, relaxing and stuff, but it's got fond memories.
Oh yeah, that show was great, and the remake of it where they tried to bring it back and was good too, but it just didn't have the Mulder and Scully going at it every case. So yeah, I kind of feel like that, and they were pushing too many topics out there, controversial topics, I should say, and so the show didn't make it very long.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember a few of those side ones. One that sticks out that I thought was funny is Dagoo. You remember the one where it was like
Yeah,
a were something, an animal that was actually turned into a human, but he wanted to get back to his animal form or something, and it was really funny.
yeah. They did a really great job on X Files of really looking at like what is a cryptid, or what is these legends that we talk about, and we just are like, oh yeah, that's local legend, no big deal, and it's like maybe not, maybe we need to look at it this way.
Yeah, it opened us up for those topics, and I feel like a lot of what went on in those episodes, I'm into a lot of that stuff, so it was just like, oh, there's a whole nother world outside of, whatever else. So it's a cool
Yeah,
place.
and I know this was going to sound like a strange question, but with your connection to the Pleiades and everything, I'm curious, since you said you're connected to the moon, do you feel the moon is a natural object or something that was placed in our orbit to help the planet?
Oh, I think I'm going to go with the natural side of things. I feel like it's just, a beautiful energy that's placed here um, to be here to enhance us, with the tides of the water. It's very feminine connection. And I feel like it's connected maybe to Venus and like the seven sisters and whatnot. I feel like all of that. Yeah, I think it's more natural for sure.
Okay, cool. And I can see why we're gelling so well because I'm connected to the Pleiades too. And
Are you?
that was
Oh,
like the first constellation. When I heard its name, I was like, I couldn't spell it, but I could say it. And I knew the story of the seven sisters before I knew any story of any star.
oh, wow, that's powerful.
And I love the story of the seven sisters. And I have a hard time finding it sometimes online.
Do you? Is there like a specific one story or a place that you found it that was the most powerful for you?
Well, to me, it was the story as I was told it was so there were seven sisters that were in the heavens and they were interacting with the earth, and one of the sisters fell in love with a man on earth, but the heavens and the earthlings don't mix. And she broke the rules and got married to him. And so the story goes, as I heard it, was the punishment was she was removed from the sky and lives for a certain period on land with him and then is forced to return to the sky. And that's why at certain times when you look at the Pleiades, there's seven stars, then there's six stars, and then the seventh star returns.
Hmm. Ooh, that gave me chills. I hadn't really heard the stories of them. I just connected with the energy of Pleiades being a healing entities, and my friend also said the native energy kind of goes with Pleiades a little bit in some way. But that story is really magical. I love it. It's kind of, yeah,
Mm.
that's really cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so we're approaching an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay.
Where can people find you if they have questions for you or want to research or anything, ask you questions?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel and Facebook. Those are the two ones that I mainly commit to. Like I have a presence on Facebook, and I have a YouTube channel with like 200 and something videos, and it continues to grow. I've been a little slow on the videos recently, just because I've been going more inward, but I will always have that, and I will always continue to add to it. So those two places are the big spots to find me. I'm open to questions. If you need prayers, I can do a pipe ceremony for you. Like, yeah.
Very cool. And the links to those that she sent me are in the descriptions. So if you go check out her stuff, and before you do your closing ceremony,
Yeah.
I just want to take a moment and say to you, from the heart of my shows and myself to you, thank you for what you're doing for humanity.
You're a breath of fresh air, Michael. This has been a pleasure. It's been easy to connect with you. You are standing in your power, and I see you, brother. I see you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to do the closing now. Grandmother, grandfather, eagle, I send a voice. I thank you for this circle. I thank you for the circles that come before her and the circles that will come after her. And I thank you for this beautiful time to connect with these beings, the directions, Father, Mother, Great Spirit. Thank you for all the beautiful energy cultivated here for the highest and best good of all. Aho, good shining.
Aho.
Wow.
And I love hearing that. It's been a while since I've heard aho. And for those that are listening, it's AHO, which I was taught means authentic, honest, and open.
I've heard a few different renditions of it. I just flow with whatever people mean of it, you know.
Oh, I'm curious what ones you've heard.
Oh, Ahoma Takwiasan, which I might have said that wrong, means, you know, your energy is my energy. I see you, you are me. Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's, let me see, aho atakuiasa, I think.
Yeah,
Or something
yeah.
similar, yeah. Yeah, so thank you. And we will have to have you back on again sometime.
I'd be honored, and I love it, and this has been beautiful. Thank you so much for picking me to be on your show. I'm honored.
Well, thank you. The honor is mine. And thank you for sharing your story and about your journey. And so keep in touch. And to all of you watching and to everyone in the chat room, thank you for watching and participating. And before I go into the outro, I just want to take a moment to the audiences and the countries that celebrate this Thursday's Thanksgiving Day or Thanksgiving Day, whenever it is for you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And to those that don't celebrate it, enjoy your day.
Much gratitude to you, no matter what.
Yes. Gratitude and hope to the world.
Absolutely.
And so, with that, I'm going to say goodnight to everyone and thank you.